So today I'm going to be going over the lunar calendar, how it would work. Because a lot of people get confused, myself included, whenever I first come to this truth, this liberating truth, to break free from the beast calendar, the Gregorian calendar. So as of right now, we're in the 9th lunation, so the 9th month, Yahuah's 9th month, not the Gregorian month. So right here I have it labeled, all these are work days. His calendar is very simple. Very, very simple. Everything 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, everything in this row is always work days. 100% of the time, they are always work days. And over here in this column, they're always worship days. 100% of the time, this column is always worship days. All of these columns, these 6 columns, are always work days. Very simple. It's just hard at first, especially without this visual, because it's hard to break free from that Gregorian calendar that we have been indoctrinated with our whole entire lives. So the first day of the month, of Yahuah's month, is always New Moon Day, okay? That's the first day of the month, and is indeed a worship day. You can see this from Ezekiel chapter 46. You can see it in Isaiah 66, and you can see it again in Amos 8, that it is a special day. There's no commerce on New Moon Day. So New Moon Day is the first day of the month. It is not a day of the week. You can look to Ezekiel chapter 46, verses 1 through 4, I believe it is, to see that. It is not a day of the week. So it is not part of our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 day count. Because according to Yahuah in Ezekiel chapter 46, New Moon Day cannot come on one of the 6 working days. And it cannot come on a weekly Shabbat. It is a day in and of itself. So the beginning of our month, New Moon Day. It is not part of our 6-day count. You can work for yourself if you wish to, but you cannot work for money. You cannot work for commerce. It is a day of no buy, sell, trade, as seen in Amos chapter 8. It is a worship day. We are to blow our trumpets and to worship Yahuah. And you can see Numbers chapter 10 for that, and Isaiah chapter 66. Okay, so New Moon Day, day 1 of the month. Okay, the first sliver, the new moon, is what we will see that night. It means New Moon Day's over. And that means tomorrow is a work day. That's my signal. Tomorrow is a work day. The first sliver will tell me that. It also tells me tomorrow is the 2nd day of the month, but the first day of the work week. So the 2nd day of the month is the first day of the work week. So I'm going to work 1, work 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then I'm going to rest on the 7th. The 7th day is the weekly Shabbat. Okay, on that on the 7th day of the month, which is the 6th day of the work week, I will see a first quarter moon, exactly 50% lit, on the 6th day of the week, signaling tomorrow is my Shabbat. Okay. So after the Sabbath is over, the 8th day of the month, I'm going to, somehow that number got off. My work week is going to continue because, okay, so I'm going to work 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days. On the 6th day, there will be a full moon. It will signal to me, tomorrow is my Sabbath. I'm going to keep that Sabbath. Work 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, rest the 7th. On the 6th day of the work week, I will see a last quarter moon, 50% lit. It signals tomorrow is my Sabbath. That is my sign in the sky that tells me what tomorrow is. Tomorrow's my Sabbath. Get ready. Okay, I'm going to keep that Sabbath. I'm going to work 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days. I'm going to rest on the 7th. On that 6th day, the 28th day of the month, there's going to be a last sliver in the sky. That last sliver will tell me tomorrow is the Shabbat. Okay, on that Sabbath will be a conjunction. The last Sabbath of the month will be a conjunction, which means a dark day. That conjunction tells me tomorrow is New Moon Day. Okay? And it all starts over again. That's the first day of the month, but it is not a work day. It is not in your count to 7. It is not in your weekly count to 7, as we went over earlier. Occasionally, there is 2 dark days in a month. It will happen approximately pretty much like 4 times a year. It will happen. And that just means 29th is our Sabbath, and then we'll have another dark day, and then it'll be New Moon Day. This did not happen originally, okay? If you look back through Genesis, through somewhere, what they say, what scholars say, somewhere around Joshua stopping the sun in the sky for that whole day, or maybe Hezekiah around that time when he turned the sundial back. So this is thought to have dented Yahuah's clock a little. And think about it, that would be a big thing. Like that would, I could see how that would, knock that clock off just a fuzz. But before that, when you count the months, when you're given enough information within the scriptures to count the days of the month, then it was always a 29-day month until sometime after one of those 2 events, most probably, is what they seem to think. You can look more into that yourself. CreationCalendar.com, Troy Miller has awesome information about all this stuff. And that too, also the occasional when there's 2 new moon days, or 2 dark days, I should say. And then you just get a 3-day weekend. You get your Sabbath off, the last Sabbath of the month, and then you get the 30th day of the month off, and then you'll get, of course, your New Moon Day off. So you get a 3-day weekend. It's pretty cool. And then you're going to work 6, rest on the 7th. Rest on the 7th. Work 6, rest on the 7th. Work 6, rest on the 7th. Work 6, rest on the 7th. Starts all over again with New Moon Day. A lot of people say, well, the scriptures don't say it resets on New Moon Day, that the weekly count resets. Well, it don't exactly say that, but if you look to Ezekiel 46, where Yahuah, thus says Yahuah, he tells you New Moon Day is not one of the work days. It is not a Sabbath. So therefore, it is not in your 6-day count to the 7th day. It is not. That's according to Yahuah. So if you go by that, it's just a given. It's just a given. You do not count New Moon Day in your 7-day count. You can't do it. Or else New Moon Day is going to come on a work day or a Sabbath, which according to Yahuah is not possible. So, all of these days in this column will always be a prep day. That is why Passover under full moon is always a prep day. It's a work day. And that's why that unleavened bread being on the 15th and Sukkot being on the 15th, that's why these days are called high Sabbaths, because it is an instance where one of his yearly annual feasts is coming on his weekly Sabbath, which would make it a high Sabbath. So that's kind of cool. That's why they say, he tells us in Leviticus 23, that Sukkot is a 7-day feast, starts on the 15th, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But then he tells us to have a holy convocation on the 22nd day of the month. Well, that's because it's a Sabbath. And it don't have anything to do with Sukkot, because Sukkot is a 7-day festival, just like he told us. But the following day is a weekly Sabbath, so we are to have a holy convocation and to rest from all of our work. So, if one is keeping a Saturday Sabbath, but yet you're going by the moon to keep Passover, like most people do, then the 14th day of the moon sometimes is going to fall on your Saturday. And the 14th day of the moon is Passover. We are to, within the Leviticus time period, they were to slaughter that lamb. They were to prepare that lamb. And we today are to prepare our Passover meals. So, how are you going to do that if your Passover, which is a prep day, falls on a Saturday? Are you going to rest, or are you going to prepare? And there's no provisions in the Torah to do it on the day before. It says to do it on the 14th. There's also, we're told to get our lamb on the 10th. Well, what if you don't have a lamb? You're not a farmer and you have to buy one. Are you going to go buy a lamb on the 10th if that 10th day of the moon is coming on your Saturday? Because buying is prohibited. So you're kind of left with a bunch of issues. And like new moon day is going to come on your Sabbath sometimes. New moon day is going to come on one of your work days sometimes. So you're left with a bunch of issues. Keeping a Sabbath on any other calendar but the lunar solar calendar. The sun tells you what time of day it is. The moon tells you what day of the month it is, or what day of the week it is. And the stars, I'm still kind of new to figuring out all that. But from my understanding, the stars tells you like when, what season it is as far as when the new year begins, the position of the stars and so forth. So anyway, I hope this video helped. I don't want it to be too long. It's already longer than what I hoped it would be. But I hope it answers your question on why we as lunar Sabbath keepers do a reset on the first day of the month. And how the calendar works. And I hope it makes sense to you now. So thank you all for watching, and Shalom.